everyone. Welcome to The Hydrant. I'm Jim Cooper. With me today is Debbie Weiss. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on the show, Jim.
It's my pleasure. Debbie is an author. Well, Debbie is a former attorney turned author, or as she likes to put it on her website, she's a former lawyer and current unemployed slacker, which I think is okay, fine, whatever. She's got a brand new book available as is, A Midlife Widow's Search for Love. It was chosen as the February 2023 National Association of Memoir Writers Book Club selection. So it's got a lot of people talking about it. You know, and I thought about it, and it's like, what is this thing that attorneys turning to authors? You know, it just, John Grisham, Scott Turow, Lisa Scottolini, Meg Gardner. I mean, is there something that within the attorney framework that says, hey, I think I'm going to start writing now?
Well, I mean, a lot of us attorneys do love to write. That's why we became lawyers, because we wanted jobs where we could play with words, right? The other thing is we see most of the world as an adversarial proceeding, so we carry that over to everything else.
I hadn't thought of that, but that's especially, I guess, defense attorneys would be really into that. So that's great. Debbie has written a lot of articles for the Huffington Post, Women's Day, Good Housekeeping, Reader's Digest, and her book, which is available as is kind of chronicles her journey through the dating world after her husband passed away in 2013. And she wrote an article for the New York Times in their Modern Love section, which has the best title ever of any article ever written, which is First Try the Pastrami, Then the Polyamory. And it's just like, it's like, I have to read this. I just have to read this. So, which goes into some specifics about her dating journey, as it were. What was the feel outside of just writing into getting as a cathartic thing, which I get?
Yes.
Was the original intent to put this out as a book, or did it just kind of grow with time?
It kind of grew with time. You know, I started to write pretty soon after losing my husband, and I had widow's brain. I was pretty lost and wasn't thinking real clearly, but I had always loved writing, so I took a weekly writing class. And then when I started, my first pieces were about grief. And then when I started dating, the characters I was meeting were so out there that I really just felt compelled to share some of them with the world. And it felt so absurd. I couldn't believe I was alone in this. So I just wrote for a while. And then again, another thing about lawyers is we tend to be sort of type A, wanting to get things done. So ultimately I thought, well, I want to write a book. And then I thought, well, I'm not writing it very well. I'm going to get an MFA. So, it all kind of took off from there. It started off cathartic and kind of wound up moving into craft. Sort of a challenge to see, could I do this? Could I write something that worked?
And you got your MFA in 2020 from St. Mary's College?
I did. St. Mary's College of California.
That's
in
cool.
2020. Yeah, I was 56.
God bless you. And I've often thought about doing that because I've written a book, and in fact, I've got another book coming out very, very soon that's kind of a memoirish, kind of cathartic thing about my wife's cancer journey from a caregiver perspective. It just does tend to grow on you after time, because I think I was talking with Karen Osborne, sometimes those characters start talking to you in your head and they just won't leave you alone.
No, I listened to Karen's episode actually, and yes, I know her. You just kind of, you start to have these characters, and for some reason, a lot of some of my characters I wasn't even that crazy about, but they just kind of said, share me, warn other women about people like me. But also I wanted to kind of share the grief and the being adrift as a widow, especially, not having had to change your life so much, starting at age 50, at midlife, having to change so much, was something I kind of wanted to talk about, because that's hard.
Especially at that time of life, and your husband passed away in his 50s, and that's not something you plan for. I mean, I remember when my wife got her cancer diagnosis, everything changes.
Right.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And, one of the things I kept hearing about was, well, this is the new normal. How did you navigate through that whole grieving new normal process? I mean, which is just so enormous and to me seemed insurmountable at times.
Well, I mean, the diagnosis does change everything because all of a sudden mortality is in the forefront of your mind. Um,
Mm,
my husband chose to just keep working during the 4 years between his diagnosis and his passing, and he lived how he wanted. We continued to cook and run around, and when he was gone, he was my best friend. We were pretty isolated. And I just kind of had to start going really, really slow. Start with, can you go outside, drive to the parking lot near the trail, take a walk, go for a walk. From there,
mm.
can you pick something you want to do? A yoga class, it gets harder. Writing class, that's a little further from home. It's a little more challenging. From there, hey, look, these neat people invited you to be in their writing group. Okay, you like this person, like this woman. Can you go for a walk? Can you do that? Just kind of on and on until eventually it starts, these little things start to add up to what feels more like a life and less kind of like purgatory.
And that's absolutely true. I mean, it's small steps over time. So let's project a little bit. The new book is out. Have you had any thought about what's going to happen next? Are you thinking about fiction, or or is this a one shot and done, or is the writing bug really hit you? Obviously, you got an MFA. I don't think it's going to be one and done, but I figured I'd ask anyway.
I don't know about trying to get any more books published. It's an interesting process, which is kind of the opposite of writing of it. Suddenly you're trying to promote it and you're doing all this stuff, and at least the way I went through an excellent but expensive hybrid publisher, note expensive. So I don't think I would do that again, honestly. What I might do is, and I don't write fiction. I'm an ex-lawyer. I don't have that kind of imagination. My thoughts are to write about my father, who is 92 and a half. He's a retired nuclear physicist. He was a single parent to me, and he's really interesting. He's
Mm,
been around some very interesting people at very interesting times. The other thing is possibly doing a sequel to the book, but again, just something I would give away, like through my website or a Kindle Unlimited, if I could figure
right.
out the software, which is really not my skill set.
All right. Let's talk about the dating world in your 50s.
Mm.
Um, it's this is an issue fraught with all sorts of landmines. But what's the one thing as you went through this journey
Mhm.
that really took you by surprise? Was there one thing that just you weren't expecting that just kind of hit you in the side of the head with how that whole process works, having not been in that scene for a long time?
Yeah, fortunately, I haven't for 5 years. I've been with somebody, so I'm really lucky. But
Good.
the thing that struck me, honestly, a former lawyer, is how adversarial the dating scene in your 50s is. To me, it feels very much of a power struggle. You have a bunch of people who are disillusioned. They've had their failed relationships, death, divorce, then being online, put through the ringer a few times. They expected to be married or partnered. We don't want to be out doing this, at least not most of us. A lot of people need therapy. They don't need dating. They're still not over their past loves, their losses, their divorces, their
Right.
financial settlements. I've heard too much about financial settlements. I mean, you know, and and so they're sort of pushing to have something as quickly as possible. And I was really surprised at the lack of care, the transactional nature, and how
Hmm.
hostile it was. That doesn't mean there
Oh,
aren't good people. I know that's shocking. I'm sorry. Everybody right now is closing their dating apps, and they're like, "Oh no, no,
no,
there
no,
are good people. There are." I don't. I'm not trying to
absolutely.
paint such a negative picture, but I am saying you encounter a lot of folks who aren't so great, and it kind
Yeah.
of surprised me because I sort of thought by the time we were doing this that most of us would be sort of looking for joy and love.
Having a few friends that have traversed the whole dating site thing, and some of their experiences as well. It's like, I guess it's like anything else. I mean, there's a 10% of the cream on the top that you hope you hit into, and then there's a lot of, like, I guess the old phrase, kissing a lot of frogs to find the prince is just maybe apropos here. It's
I've been thinking about this, and my analogy is the bar exam. Now, when I took the bar exam, 1988, I think there was a 45% pass rate. But first time takers, your pass rate was about 70%. And the disparity was all the people who keep taking and flunking the bar, right? Those numbers are so low, not for us first timers, but it's for all the people who are trying over and over again. And I truly do wish them the best. But in dating, I feel when we're older, it's the same thing, because a lot of us sane folks, we don't want to be dating. So we meet hopefully another like-minded, compatible person. We function as grown-ups. We're off the scene. So what you get coming back and back and back are folks who don't work well in relationships and keep coming back to the same pool.
right.
That's my theory.
And from some of the things you've written that are not looking to go forward, are looking for a replacement for what they had, whether it was rational or healthy or whatever it happens to be, or just looking for a replacement. And there didn't seem to be any possibility for growth going forward.
I saw that too. I saw looking for a replacement, and I also saw sort of a little bit of a hookup culture vibe. Like, I gave it all. I gave relationships. I'm not buying any more dinners. I am not going on any more nice dates. Let's just get down to it. This is the hookup culture. I can do it too. But somehow it's so much less attractive in us older people. And
Oh, wow. That's great. Well, the book is called Available as Is. It's available everywhere. And it's a cool book. I've read bits and pieces of it, and it's a cool book, and it's very heartfelt, and I recommend it to anybody. So please go out and get yourself a copy. All right, let me ask you some of these ridiculous questions,
okay.
and we'll see where this takes us.
Okay.
And I'm going to go right for the weird. If you were a guy for a day, what's the first thing you would do?
I would go on a really, really long hike, someplace absolutely gorgeous, because I wouldn't need to worry about peeing in poison oak.
Okay.
I mean, I would not have to worry about the restroom bathroom situation. I don't know.
Right.
I'm a hiker, so that's what came to mind.
Okay. Okay. What song should play every time you walk into a room?
Here Comes the Night.
Okay, we'll let that go.
I don't know. I'm thinking of something for someone with sort of a dark, cynical disposition. That's why I went there.
Right. And this is perfect. It's good. Are your feet the same size?
To the best of my knowledge.
We've had both answers, yes and no. That's why I keep asking it. It's just
I think my left foot might be a little bit longer, but I don't seem to have trouble buying retail shoes.
Okay, fair. What are you most likely to eat after a stressful day?
These days it's chamomile tea and fig Newtons. Up until a year ago, when I started to have sort of older lady stomach, it would probably be more like a martini and some frozen pepper poppers, but that just isn't happening anymore.
Okay.
I feel
What
young,
movie
but
makes-
my stomach's old.
I get that. I understand completely. What movie makes you laugh no matter how many times you've seen it?
Probably The Devil Wears Prada.
That's the first time I've heard that one. That's good.
I used to love fashion, not so much anymore, but I love that whole style.
What breed of dog would you be?
I'm a cat person. What would I be?
Okay, you pick a breed of cat then. What breed of cat would you be?
Oh, I'll take a ragdoll cat. They shed a lot. They're really chill. Their heads just kind of fall back. They seem real comfortable.
What's one thing you cannot live without?
Well, these days I would say my partner, Randall.
That's cool. That's cool. I like that. What is your favorite curse word?
I don't think I'm getting to be terribly creative here. I find the F word to be useful in many sort of situations.
Which is the majority of the answers are there, so that's fine. If you were an ice cream flavor, what would you be?
Oh, vanilla. I mean, I'm pretty pale and, but a really great vanilla with depth, like with made with real vanilla bean, I mean, I do this well, right? Yeah, that's what I like. So I'll just be that. Plus, if you're in a vanilla ice cream, you're adaptable because you can put any sauces on you. You can stir in some nuts. You can add chocolate chips.
You can get
So
creative.
yes, I'll
Yeah,
go with the
you can get
versatility of vanilla.
okay. Good. Good. Who would play you in a movie about your life?
Diane Lane.
Oh, good pick. I love Diane Lane.
I do too. I do too.
Even going all the way back to the teen movies she did early on in the 80s. She's just something about her. I've always liked her.
Yeah, I was hooked with a little romance.
Yeah.
I just loved her. And then I kind of like a couple movies she's done as a woman kind of on her own after, marriages that didn't work. And she's really strong, but she's vulnerable. And, she looks pretty real, which I like.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she pulls that off very, very well. Okay. I'm going to give you two things, and you tell me what your preference is between them, kind of an either or kind of thing.
Okay.
Bananas or watermelon?
Bananas.
Library or museum?
Museum.
Toilet paper, over or under?
Under. It's tidier.
Okay. Dark chocolate or red wine?
Yes.
I understand.
Go together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Passenger or driver?
Passenger. I don't like driving that much. I'm actually a very good driver, but I'm one of these people who get stressed. And then I am using my favorite F word while I'm driving. I wish I could just be like, okay.
You and my wife would get along. Even when she's a passenger, she hands out the window screaming at people. So it's like,
Yeah, I drive with my partner, and I'm like, watch for that, watch for that, watch for that, look there.
Yeah.
So I'm a backseat driver.
She's the same way. And we were driving actually through Manhattan, and she started screaming at people out the window. I was like, "You're going to get us killed. Will you please stop doing that?"
Yes.
Salad dressing on the side or on top?
That's so Harry Met Sally. If I know the restaurant on top, if it's a new place on the side, I need to test this stuff out.
Okay. Okay. Live theater or movies?
Movies.
Okay, now we're going to go into some would you rather type questions, and these are designed to make you think a little bit.
Okay.
Which superpower would you rather have? The ability to move objects telekinetically or the ability to shift your shape?
Both are tempting. I'll go with shape shifting because then you can be kind of anywhere and do anything. I think it gives you more flexibility for true evil. Or prying into people's lives. As a writer, actually, shape shifting would be amazing because you could overhear so much that you could co-opt. Yeah.
Would you rather give up your cell phone for a month or bathing for a month?
No.
Just the expression on your face was like, no.
Not happening. Cell phone.
Would you rather have all traffic lights you approach be green or never have to stand in line again?
Never have to stand in line again. Your car is your fortress. You can.
I like that.
You can sit in your car and be fine. If you're standing in line, I just had to be at a normal pretty busy medical facility and pick up a couple prescriptions, and it took hours. So this is I'm not good with, I'm not good at that. Patience is not my strong suit. I'm sorry.
Not your strong suit. Okay.
No.
Would you rather be able to breathe underwater or fly?
Gosh, both sound wonderful. I'll take breathing underwater. I like marine life. I'd like to talk to some animals or something.
Would you rather have whatever you are thinking appear in a bubble over your head for everyone to see, or have absolutely everything you do be live streamed for everyone to see?
Both sound like hell. I'll take the bubble. I'll take the bubble. It's a little less intrusive, I guess.
I had one guest who was an actor saying, this question is from the seventh circle of hell. So you're right on board with that.
Yeah.
Someone came up to you and said, hey, I'm newly divorced, or I'm newly widowed. She's in her 50s and she's just lost, or he, doesn't matter. What's what's one piece of advice you would give them right up front?
What did you love to do when you were younger? What kinds of things do you really love to do? And then how can you do those things with other people? For example, I'm a big walker. So when I was lonely, I joined walking and hiking groups. And from there, I made some friends. So I would say working on yourself so that dating or other people aren't the most important thing to you, so that you have a strong sense of self after you have to after your life has changed.
Just something to hold on to at that moment, or
Yeah.
for a period of time.
Yeah, and then to find connections through that. Dating, talked about, is unpleasant. And I think the most important thing you can have is a sense of self. And once you've been in a really long marriage and it ends through death or divorce, you kind of have to reinvent yourself, right? Because you've spent the past how many years as half a couple, so now you're a solo person. And I think the most important thing is to kind of look at, how do you want to live as a solo person? Once you kind of know how you like to live, what you love to do, and have some friends and support. And I think you can find those through your passions. I did, writing classes yielded friends, yoga classes yielded girlfriends, hiking groups yielded companionship, especially on weekends, which can be lonely. So I think if you can start to kind of find yourself and your happiness, you can go from there.
No, that's great advice. Great advice. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. This was fun.
It was fun. Debbie's book, available as is available as is everywhere. Just go looking for it. You can also reach out to Debbie at Debbie Weiss Author, which is pretty straightforward.com, and find out more there. And thank you for watching and listening, and we'll see you again next time on The Hydrant.